I'm back here on my back patio again following a workout, and just to share some thoughts on the Torah that we're studying this week and also some things that are going on in our world. Current events and my study have made me think back to my first year of rabbinical school, and we were having an orientation in the library led by Rabbi Moshe Zilberstein, and he was showing us how to access all of the databases and the rabbinic texts. And he said something very important that has always stuck with me. He said that a rabbi's job is not to know everything, but to know how to look it up. And that took me aback. I think the whole class was taken aback by this because we always thought we need to know and memorize everything and be able to access it right away as if we are some sort of Jewish computer. But in truth, our expertise is not in just knowledge. It's in the knowledge of how to access the sources. So when a congregant or someone comes to us with a question about Jewish law, Jewish practice, Jewish philosophy, history, that it doesn't have to just be on the tip of our tongue. But we know the right sources that are well vetted that we can turn to, that we can compare opposing texts, that we can synthesize them down to offer the best possible answer. We don't have to know everything, but we know how to look it up. I don't think that applies just to the rabbinate. That applies to all sorts of professions. The doctors can't just diagnose everything right away. They have to turn to their own databases and their own sources to know how to look it up. They may confer with other doctors to determine what a diagnosis and a course of treatment is. Psychologists, lawyers, accountants, they may have to turn back to their books and their sources and precedents in order to find the best possible answers for their clients. They don't have to know everything. They know how to look it up. It's an important lesson because oftentimes we're confronted with people who proclaim the loudest and with the most confidence that they do have the answers. And there's something perhaps in our human DNA that makes us want to follow them just because they seem to know what they're talking about. More often than not, though, those who speak the loudest and with the most confidence are the most frequently wrong. In Jewish tradition, we've had a history of people who spoke the loudest and with the most confidence that people would follow blindly, and those were the false messiahs, most notably the Shabtai Tzvi. Many lives were lost and ruined because they chose to follow this false messiah. Oftentimes those who didn't follow him were ostracized by their communities. People sold their property, people gave up their livelihoods, and in the end, of course, the Shabtai Tzvi was wrong. And many lives had been deeply affected for the worse because they had followed him. He had proclaimed to know everything and with the most confidence, and people followed him. I think more and more we're finding in politics, people are not following the advice that we rabbis get in our first year of school and that so many other people practice in their lives. That in politics it seems more and more that people feel like they should know everything. And if they don't, they have to pretend to know everything. And when they pretend to know everything, they have to convince everyone else that they do know everything and that they have all the right answers. I think it serves us well when we turn to our leaders and not just accept that they know everything or expect that they know everything. We should look to our leaders to say honestly when they don't know, when they have to go look something up, when they say the data is still out and we don't know for sure, when they turn to the educated scientist to come back to them with answers and they give them the microphone and not take it for themselves, the center of attention. The smartest people, according to Jewish tradition, are those who don't know everything, but who learn from everyone. It says in Pirkei Avot, Ezehu Chacham, who is truly wise, the one who learns from every man. In our Torah portion this week, it tells us that Aaron, following the death of his two sons, was silent. This can be a controversial test because some people find Aaron to be cold-hearted. How can he be silent in the face of the death of his two children? In my own understanding, my personal midrash on this, he wasn't silent about his grief. Aaron's silence was in the wisdom that came to him when everybody approached him and said, Aaron, how could this have happened? How could God let this happen to your children? And instead of proclaiming to know the answer, Aaron knew he had none, and so he was silent. So perhaps let us be more like Aaron. Perhaps let us be more like the followers of Aaron and the disciples of Aaron. Let us listen to the words of Pirkei Avot that say, who is truly wise? One who learns from every man. So it's my hope and prayer as we go into this Shabbat and we go into the next coming weeks of challenge that we have, that we continue to practice knowing our limits. We continue to practice looking for the best possible information, that we continue to practice admitting when we don't find the answer, and that we expect the same of those who lead us. Ken Yehi Ratzon, may that be God's will. Have a Shabbat Shalom.